Howdy, everyone. It's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this August 12th. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. God bless you all. Card in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist. And please hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. I'm sure to appreciate it. Okay, so today we're going to continue on where we left off in the book of Luke. We're going to pick it up in chapter 14 today, and we're going to deal with a couple of issues that we've touched on before. The first of which is an issue that Jesus has been debating with the Pharisees and the teachers of the law for a couple of times now, where is it right to heal a person on a Sabbath day? Okay, because remember, the Pharisees and the teachers of the law kept a very, very strict definition of work on the Sabbath day. So you basically could not do anything at all that constituted work. Okay, you couldn't pick something up off the ground. You technically weren't supposed to untie, something from your animal, or even untie your sandal or anything like that. So to heal somebody, to go through the act of physically healing someone, was to them a big no-no. But of course, we know Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath. Okay, whatever he says can happen on the Sabbath goes. Okay, and then we'll touch on something that we talked a little bit about yesterday, and that's about not making yourself important, not making yourself, puffed up, putting yourself above others, but being the least, the being in the lowest position, right? So let's continue on. Let's go to Luke 14 and pick it up in verse 1. On a Sabbath day, Jesus went to the home of a leading Pharisee to eat with him. The people there were all watching him very closely. A man with a bad disease was there in front of him. Jesus said to the Pharisees and experts of the law, "Is it right or wrong to heal on the Sabbath day?" But they would not answer his question. So he took the man and healed him. Then he sent the man away. Jesus said to the Pharisees and teachers of the law, "Your son or work animal falls into a well on the Sabbath day. You know you would pull him out immediately." Pharisees and teachers of the law could say nothing against what he said. Verse 7. Then Jesus noticed that some of the guests were choosing the best places to sit. So he told this story. When someone invites you to a wedding, don't sit in the most important seat. They may have invited someone more important than you. And if you are sitting in the most important seat, they will come to you and say, "Give this man your seat." Then you will have to move down to the last place and be embarrassed. So when someone invites you, go sit in the seat that is not important. Then they will come up to you and say, "Friend, move up here to this better place." What an honor this will be for you in front of all the other guests. Everyone who makes themselves important will be made humble. Everyone who makes themselves humble will be made important. Verse 12. Then Jesus said to the Pharisee who had invited him, "When you give a lunch or a dinner, don't invite only your friends, brothers, relatives, and rich neighbors. At another time, they will pay you back by inviting you to eat with them. Instead, when you give a feast, invite the poor, the crippled, and the blind. Then you will have great blessings, because these people cannot pay you back. They have nothing, but God will reward you at the time when all godly people rise from death." All right, so that first part about the Sabbath, pretty much like I said at the beginning, that Jesus was calling out their hypocrisy and just the uh, absolute silliness of the rules that they were imposing on everyone. Where and he uses the example, if your child or your animal falls down a well or some hole in the ground, what are you gonna do? You're gonna say, "Oh, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll check on you tomorrow. Don't die." No, you'll get them out. You'll do whatever you can to get them out. Okay, so that's Jesus trying to convey. He's going to do everything he can to help others, no matter what day it is. Okay, that's the kind of attitude we should have too. On any given day, we should be willing and able to help others in need. Okay. Then after that, we touched on the thing about making ourselves the least important or humbling ourselves. He used the example of the table of a feast. So in Jewish culture at this time, seating position was more or less an indication of importance or hierarchy. So those who were like the more honored guests got sit closer to the head of the table with the person who invited them and put on this feast. So he's saying that don't automatically assume that you're the most important, that you are just the top of the line, that you're the boss, the head honcho. Don't immediately assume that, because then someone who is possibly better than you or more important than you is just going to push you down, and you're going to be embarrassed and whatnot. So humble yourself and be the least of persons. Take the least important seat. Then they will come to you and say, "Hey, you don't need to sit here. You deserve better," and bring you up. And that's what God's kingdom is like. Those are, we should take the attitude of, like I said the other day and today, humbling ourselves, being a servant to others, making ourselves lowly, just like Jesus did. Jesus, is King of Kings and Lord of Lords, but he did not come to earth as a king, came to earth as a servant, as, just a lowly man serving others, even though he is deserving and worthy of, everything, literally everything. Okay. But he humbled himself. That's the attitude we should take. Because when we humble ourselves and we, you know, put others before ourselves, then God will bless us in the life to come greatly. But if we don't, if we, focus on ourselves more than others, then the reverse will be true. God will not bless those who focus on themselves, focus inward, right? And again, he reemphasizes that in that last part where he says, "Don't invite the rich neighbors or your friends or your family for a feast all the time, because they'll be able to pay you back, and it's just give and take at that point. But you know, give to the poor, the crippled, the blind, the helpless, the needy, because they can't do anything. You're giving of yourself, okay? And that's the kind of thing that God wants. That is love. That is sacrificial service. Exactly what love is. It's sacrificial service. You're giving of yourself for the sake of. That's the kind of attitude God wants. All right, well, that's all for today. We're going to pick it up there tomorrow. Thank you again for joining me. I sure do appreciate it. I'll see y'all tomorrow.